Hello, everyone. This is Tommy Lee Hayes Brown with Rito Recognition. I'm here today with my friend Roy Saunderson. He's the Chief Learning Officer and Recognition Strategist at Rito Recognition. Roy is also the author of Practicing Recognition. This is the first in a series of practical and strategic books on giving employee recognition the right way. He's a regular contributor to Training Magazine and Incentive Magazine. And in 2017, he was chosen as one of the 25 most influential people in the incentive industry. He's considered one of the world's foremost thought leaders in employee recognition and engagement. Roy consults and educates leaders and employee workforces in companies, governments, and associations around the world. Today, however, we are very, very happy that he's going to be sharing with us some tools and techniques to make your service award milestones better. Sometimes we take service awards for granted. It's something that comes up periodically. Roy's going to show us some tools and techniques we can use to make that important and meaningful milestone even more engaging for our employees. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to my friend, Roy Saunderson. Roy?
Like I usually do, I just want to give everyone a kind of a quick overview of things, kind of set the stage about Career Milestone Awards, or sometimes referred to as Long Service Awards. And let's just kind of look at some of the statistics that might be interesting to kind of set the stage for us. So, for example, depending on who you look at, whether it be World at Work or Conference Board, 85 to 90% of organizations that were surveyed have a length of service or career milestone recognition program. That's like almost everyone has career milestone awards. That's phenomenal. And only 10% of organizations recognize 1 to 5 years of service. Otherwise, they tend to start at 5 years and then every 5-year increment that many of you, I'm sure, are used to in your organization. And when you look at the total spend on employee recognition, 56% of that budget is spent on an organization's long service awards. That's a good chunk. I think you come down to about 20% next that kind of relates to the performance award programs. But 56% is the kind of average budget spend from the total recognition spend on your service awards. Now, many of you may question where did long service awards come from? Well, when you start looking at the term long service, length of service awards originated with the military awards. And, you know, whether it be some particular campaign that the soldiers were sent on, that they all merited receiving a particular medal, or whether it was completion of their service in the military, that was done with a medal. And if you look at World War II as an example, the retired officers became leaders of companies. And so you can understand that the initial awards that were given in those companies were often medallions or plaques, giving that kind of same symbolism that was done in the military. So when you're looking for the origins of where this came from, if you kind of just look at that as the kind of the military kind of influence and the leaders that came into organizations from the military, you can better understand where the idea of service awards was used as a term, even though we certainly want to make sure we're looking at this as being more career milestones. And let's kind of get a bit of an overview. And before we get into some of the problems, the challenges with milestone awards and how we can solve those, let's give you some ideas for dealing with them. Well, you know, I don't know about you, but, you know, historically, when we looked at the evolution of service awards, it started at 25 years. And I know in many public sector organizations, this is still the case where they are acknowledged only when they have reached 25 years of service. And I looked at my 3 levels of employment that I've had with different organizations. And it's only now with Rideau that I've reached halfway through 25 years. So this is a rare experience these days. Most progressive organizations today will start with 5 years, and then they celebrate, as I've indicated before, the 5-year increments thereafter. Now, little caveat here, when you look at the US Bureau of Labor statistics, however, the average tenure or the length of stay with a company is 4.2 years, far, far shy from the 25 years. And when you look at, the younger workers, the average is just 2.8 years. So it's no surprise then that 16% of organizations now start with 1-year anniversaries, and 7% of organizations are acknowledging employees when they've reached the 3-year milestone level. And our last webinar, I think it was, we talked about onboarding and recognizing with onboarding, and certainly refer you to that webinar to know that how you can even recognize people when they start, and in different occupations, maybe like restaurants, for example, you may be acknowledging in some shape or form, whether it be tangible or intangible, after the 30, 60, 90, 180 days, just to be able to do whatever you can to retain your employees and honor them for the service that they are giving you and your organization. Now, when you're looking also at what was given, kind of indicated that we started off with medallions, medals, and plaques, but now we've moved to more lifestyle gift items. And for a long time, we were also giving pins and certificates and trophies as a kind of a way of acknowledging people, giving something symbolic from the organization, thanking them, even adding, different jewelry items to a pin or a brooch for every 5-year increment. And I've certainly seen over the years that pins are certainly kind of falling by the wayside. In many cases, I know in healthcare, for example, I worked with one organization where they were finding that the pins were, even if they put them on their identification badges, were getting caught. For example, nurses, the pins was getting caught on making the bed or other items, just even around the ward clerk's counter area and things like this. Now, it's a lot different in Europe. In Western Europe, you'll find that for length of service, career milestones, they actually give cash and even paid days vacation. You get more paid days vacation. But I can tell you, at least in North America, that only 12 to 16% of organizations here actually use cash to actually acknowledge the service length that employees have reached. Now, today's Milestone Career Awards cover the whole gamut from, name brand merchandise, still the jewelry and watches, not just the golden watch at 25 years, but other watches of different value at different significant milestone years. Electronics, a big deal, gift cards and other items that can be meaningful. And you'll find that almost half of all companies give a gift to the employee that they choose from a selection that they can choose from in a catalog, often an online catalog today, or a paper-based catalog that people can choose from and order online to receive their gift in a timely manner to honor their career milestone. Now, when we look at the goals that want to be achieved from service awards and giving these career milestone acknowledgements, SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management, found that there were top 5. There were more, but the first goal was to make employees feel appreciated and valued. And I think we all want that. And we need to make sure that our employees feel appreciated for the contributions they have made and for their loyalty and valuing them for all that they are doing in their jobs. The second goal that organizations wanted for using service awards was to increase employee satisfaction and happiness. And certainly you want your employees to be satisfied. We obviously want more than just satisfied. We want them engaged. We want them to be thriving, to be with our organization. And this is a chance for companies to say thank you to employees with this opportunity to give a gift or award item. And as I alluded to there, it's also to renew the emotional commitment of the organization to the employee. This is saying that we are taking some time out to honor you and respect you for all that you are doing and have done for us, and hopefully bonds that commitment in a two-way, kind of reciprocal way from the employee to the organization as well. And that is if the service awards or the career milestones are done the right way. They also want to raise employee engagement. That was another goal that they want to achieve, and obviously build employee confidence and pride. And this comes with the likelihood to recommend your organization to family or friends to work at. And we find that using career milestones is another way to say, here I have this item either on my desk or I use it in my personal life, and every time I look at it, I remember the company that I work for. And it gives that opportunity for employees to be able to share with their colleagues and family that, hey, this is what I got for working for my company, and being proud of that and being able to share that. So it's very important that you have the items that are available that are going to give that kind of a message, meaningful, and that the employee will feel worthwhile sharing with their colleagues and family. Now, interesting, the same study also looked at how employees rated their milestone awards program. And I want you to look at this the way I look at it. Excellent, 22%. Good, 47%. Fair, 26%. Poor, 5%. And the fact that SHRM used the term good, I don't find good that good. The excellent is great. I think very good would have been a more stronger differentiator, but good, you expect good. So I'm not so thrilled with the 47% at good. I'd rather lump it with the 26 and say that 73% are just and 22% is excellent. We want more in the excellent range. And I want to kind of address some of the problems that probably triggered these kind of ratings, and what we can do to improve our career milestone programs. So what are the biggest problems or concerns? Well, the first was an inadequate reward or gift selection. And this is not a vendor issue. This is where how much money can the company afford? And you have to be very upfront about what you can afford for each of the levels. I was just talking to a colleague at Rideau this week, and we'll see the industry average is often around that $15 to $20 for each year of service. Tends to be a bit of a guideline. Certainly in the public sector, and we certainly see in different industries where that can be less than or more for each year level of service. So choosing the right items, having the right gifts available is very, very important. And I would say it's even more important for those earlier years to maybe have a higher value per year so that they can get something significant or worthwhile. I certainly was in the presence of an employee who had received something in the mail, and they opened it up, and you could just tell by the look on her face that it didn't ring right. It wasn't meaningful. It was like, is this all the organization thinks I'm worth? And so it was a letdown experience, which kind of leads into the second problem or concern, and that is it's not impactful for the employees. And you need to kind of consider this and realize that, if it's not going to be meaningful to the employee, you've not really honored them. And we need to kind of look at ways in which we can honor our employees better. And that is often through how we deliver the recognition, how we present the award to an individual. And too many employees said that there's an inconsistent experience, across their departments, across the company, whatever. And again, this employee where we saw them open up their gift said, it was actually their anniversary that day, and their manager hadn't said anything. That's what stood out for them. I've had other horror stories where the gift award, showed up on their desk, still wrapped in the mailing package, brown paper, whatever, just sat there on the desk. No one said anything. And that lowers the kind of whole value behind the Milestone Award. Likely the too impersonal was just the fact that similar experiences, things just kind of show up, no interaction with people, managers don't say anything, peers don't say anything. What a letdown. And we need to remember that service anniversaries are a big deal. We all remember when we started work. And for the men on the webinar, we'll know that you only forget a wedding anniversary once, and then you never forget. And it's the same, I think, it's got to be treated the same by managers and supervisors, that they remember this is a big deal in the life of their employees. So they need to kind of take the time to honor their employees. And of course, it's too infrequent. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, especially if you've got the 5-year increments. So people could say it's too infrequent, meaning when they're relating it to other recognition, this just adds to the problem if they're not getting recognized on an everyday basis. So those are some of the biggest problems or concerns. There were a lot more, but I just kept it to the top 5, just to give you a feel for some of the issues that come up with Career Milestone Awards. All right, so you know that I always love to be able to give you some answers, some solutions for dealing with these. And so here's what I've come up with. The biggest issue I think that we haven't done well with, both maybe as vendors or even with managers and those who are owners of corporate recognition programs within your organization, is that we haven't instilled the expectation that the manager represents the company when giving service awards or career milestone awards. We've not made that expectation, and we need to. We need to make the managers totally responsible and set them up that, hey, when you're giving this award to Joe or to Jane, you represent the company, and you must do the best job possible of representing our organization. So remember, all managers are accountable for representing the CEO or president of their organization. That's important. That's a big deal. And that's the kind of level of caliber, the quality of how we present these awards needs to be instilled within our managers. Okay, so now if we're making them accountable, then we're also delegating the responsibility, and then they have to give an expectation that they're going to give a report back to a senior leader on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending on how many employees they've had receive a career milestone award. And they need to report on how they honored and celebrated that employee. How did they do the presentation? How was it received? What was the reaction of the employee? How were their peers involved? Was this a public presentation or a private presentation, depending on the employee's preference? So this is the kind of stuff that we need to set up to a higher level, a higher standard, a better way on presenting and making the managers truly representative of your organization. And I don't think we've done that. I think it's more just been a to-do list item, and I've got other things that are more pressing. No, you're going to have to give a report. You're going to have to show how accountable you were. And then we need to kind of look at the ways employees can give their input as well, which I think addresses the second part here. And that is, how can we improve milestone award effectiveness? How effective is it? And we need to kind of find this out probably a little bit more through the eyes of the employees now. And, one of the ways we can do this is we can actually set objectives for what we want to achieve with career milestone award experiences. And too often it's just a transaction. We, enlist the help of a vendor in being able to set up the website, create the merchandise catalog, gift wrap the merchandise that's sent out, ship it to the employee's home or to the company where the manager can give it personally. All kinds of options customized to the wishes of your organization. And, so then you have to kind of ask yourself, was the whole process of ordering and receiving it a positive experience? We need to ask our employees this. We need to either do surveys or focus groups. We need to get to the bottom of that experience. How was it? And how can we improve it? And I think it's important to realize that we're honoring our employees. We're saying we're proud of what they've done. We're celebrating what they've done. This is not just a presentation. This is a celebration. So again, what goals do you set for your milestone award events? Many organizations have, either monthly, quarterly, annual, depending on the size of the organization, award events where they actually present these career milestone awards, have the individual come up front, maybe share a little brief short story about what they've contributed and what makes them an impact to the company. How do they contribute? What difference have they made? And the last question I have here for you to think about is, how do you manage what happens, before the career milestone event or presentation, during it, and afterwards? And you may say, well, what happens before? Well, maybe the employee wants to invite certain people, give them advance notice that if we're doing a formal presentation, whether it be one-on-one and just a few close colleagues, or whether it be en masse in front of a department or company as a whole. What would they like to have? Who would they like to have there? Some might want some family members present. Do we make sure that we've got the photographer on hand, getting those wonderful captures of memories and experiences right there? Do we have opportunity to mingle and meet up with other colleagues who started at the same time? And what about afterwards? Do we get maybe a letter from our manager or senior leader with one of those photos, and another opportunity to reinforce what happens after the event? So I know there's a lot of ideas here. You'll have to consider what's relevant for you in your organization, but identify what could be improved, and then see if those suggestions can be implemented, in an affordable way, and just prioritize. And just check one thing off the list and plug away at some of these things that you can do to make this career milestone experience a meaningful one, a chance for the company to thank the employee for their loyalty, for their service, and for all that they have done to make a difference for the organization. And so, what about ways to improve career milestone recognition? I have some pointers here. Questions again to think about. Do you acknowledge new employees during onboarding? Do we give something tangible for them when they come on board? Does your organization celebrate employees on their first anniversary or their third? Let's kind of bring this down when we look at the length of employees stay in an organization these days. And are we just even acknowledging them every anniversary year? You don't have to give something to someone, but for goodness sakes, you can say, hey, I was just noticing on my calendar that you started work here 4 years ago now. I can't believe it's gone by so quickly. We sure do appreciate all that you do for the company and for the organization. And you can work with your HR department, have them give managers a list of the anniversaries in advance, or arrange with your award vendor, like we do at Rideau, to send out an anniversary advisory for managers of who's coming up in the next month that needs to be honored and recognized. And so managers can then put that into their planners, their calendars online, and be prepared to do a great job of just recognizing them and thanking them on their milestone year. And you might want to ask yourself, how could you uniquely celebrate long service employees that fits with your organizational culture? We're not expecting everyone to do the same thing. And I think Tommy Lee might have done the same thing a few years back at Recognition Professionals International when we were in Las Vegas. We went out to Zappos. Did you go out to Zappos?
Yes.
That was phenomenal.
I was just thinking about them.
Yeah, and what they do there is they have, and it's a young, probably Gen X and Z company.
Absolutely.
And over their cubicle office areas, they all have vanity license plates with their name on it. So you'd have Roy or Tommy, and you'd have that, and then they dress up in goofy costumes, some of the employees, and they have this marching band or whatever hodgepodge of real or made up instruments, and they're coming down to your cubicle area, and they're honoring you for the next year. And remember, it's a license plate.
Yep.
They put a sticker for the new year that you're celebrating.
Yeah.
I mean, how simple is that?
Right? With your registration or whatever.
That's right. That's
absolutely.
right.
I remember that.
So this is again, it fits their culture, and these are the things you can do. So that's why I'm just saying at the end there, make sure that your career milestone, long service award procedures, practices fits with your culture. Do what's right for you. Some smaller departments will take an employee out for lunch, but not everyone can afford that. So
right.
You have to kind of work with your budget, work with what's right for your organization, and do what you can to make this a wonderful experience. That's for sure. So bottom line is, I want to leave people with the thoughts of honoring and celebrating each employee on their career milestone anniversary. And I think that's a different viewpoint rather than just saying giving them an award. It's about honoring them. It's about celebrating them. And I hope that that comes across in what you're currently doing. And if you're not, make those incremental changes that will make it a celebration and not just a presentation. Tommy Lee, I always turn to you at this point. I don't know if there's any questions that have come in, some thoughts.
Yeah, there's a couple, but just as a piggybacking off what you said, I didn't think they were dressed weird at all at Zeppelins. I fit right in. So it was a really, really, really fun experience. I forgot all about that.
And fun is one of their values. So
it's one of their values, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what one expert calls a weirdly dressed, it's called a Tuesday outfit for Tommy.
That's right.
We have Nebraska, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. Doesn't say what state she's from, but her name is Nebraska. Are branded items still relevant in our gift card culture?
Oh, interesting. And number one, yes, they are.
What do you think she means by gift card culture?
Well, we have a culture where we easily default to gift cards. And if you ask employees, many times they'll say, give me money, right? That becomes give me money, right? And then, next on the monetary step down would be gift cards.
Right.
But one of the problems that happens with this is it's easily forgotten. Mm-hmm. Or with gift cards, one of the things we forget is that we may go to buy something and two things happen. One is we don't use the full value of the gift card. Or secondly, we have to add money to whatever we bought because we found something we really, really, really wanted. pros and cons. There's no absolute.
Right.
Again, it's a right fit for an organization. But I find that when you're actually giving something tangible, I can give you a great example here. Glad this question came up. I can remember a power company service awards, and they said they wanted to know, Roy, what could we do to make our service awards better? And they had a good array. It was power companies make good money, so they gave a good value for each year that they were honoring. And I said, well, what about the employees' interests? Is there a way in which you can find out a little bit more about the personality, the interests, favorite color, I don't know, anything and everything. And then go out and find wrapping paper that reflects that employee.
Mm.
So remember, we've got to remember here that with career milestones, the employee already knows what they're getting.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't Christmas.
Yeah.
This isn't Christmas where we're getting a surprise, or birthday where we're getting a surprise. They selected it. So they know what they're getting. And it's still a big deal for them because they're finally getting it. But what this power company did was they, if you liked fishing, Tommy Lee, then your gift was wrapped in paper that had a, fishing pole, fishing, fish all over it. Another person was sewing and they had the bobbins and the needles and all that on the paper. And they found that the employees were like, they didn't want to unwrap it. How did you know? Or look at this. And it was like there was more emotional reaction to the gift wrapping paper than there was to the gift, because remember, they already knew what they were getting. So
that's such a great example of how God is in the details, as they say.
It is.
Such a little thing like wrapping paper could make take something that's so generic and make it personal.
Yep. So those are ways, that's where the presentation of that gift, even if it's one-on-one, because the person doesn't like crowds and being in the big gala event, that one-on-one, they usually want 2 or 3 friends with the boss as well, but if not, if it's just the boss, it's a meaningful handshake. It's an expression of recognition for their loyalty and thanking them for being with the company. This is the company's chance to thank them. So you can do that with a little envelope, with a gift card.
Yep.
It's just something about them having chosen something and finally getting it. There is an expectancy there. There's some nice emotions conjured up. Whereas the gift card goes, I don't even know what I'm going to get yet.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
You almost get 2 bangs for your buck,
True.
True. You get the item itself, but then you get the endearment because you took the time.
Yeah. So again, you have to kind of ask, as an organization, an owner of the recognition program, what's the experience we want our employees to have? Do we give in to what they want, which is gift cards? And you can do that. But then how do you make it the presentation, a celebration in its own way? And do you still want to deal with merchandise? These are all the options that need to be considered when you sit down and plan out your career milestone awards.
Perfect. We have Kari, I think. Thank you for mentioning the renewal of emotional commitment with service awards. When I got my 10-year pin, I was never prouder of myself and my company for putting up with me for a decade. Sounds like Kari's had there's been an evolution of Kari.
Yes. And again, here we have an example where it was meaningful to get the pin, and how that pin is designed. What thought has been put into the design of that pin?
Right.
And then how is it packaged? Is it in one of those, typical jewelry velveteen kind of containers? I don't know what material it is, but smooth and good and looks good and plush and then maybe being assisted in putting it on, and that whole again, you bring up the whole concept of like the military, where the medal, the receiving the medal,
Right. It's
big
just
deal.
grandly placed on, and yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah. So yeah, different styles is all very, very meaningful. So I'm glad that Kari was able to share that.
You know, you just made me think of is it the Presidential Medal, of the highest honor you can give
Mhm.
a civilian, and just how he reaches, the president reaches over the person
Yes.
and drapes that medal on. It's a whole big, and I always wonder, like, why is he doing that? But now I know. Thank you, Roy. Because
No
that's just
problem.
another touch point of personalization of, you could give the award in a box and they could go put it on themselves, or I can assist them. I can show it off. I can take pictures with it. The end result's the same. They get a necklace or whatever the award is. But
Yeah.
that process can make such a big difference.
And it creates more prestige
Absolutely.
around it, or it elevates it. So when the president is putting it on, it's like, I just had the president put
Right.
this.
Put this on, yeah.
Yeah. You already
And
knew you were
hopefully, and
getting.
hopefully you do like the medal and the president.
Yeah,
Or else I
exactly.
guess you wouldn't show up.
Exactly. At least you got some At least you got some pictures of
Yeah,
both, right? So
absolutely. See, our last one here says, I have a dilemma. Who should give a 15-year service award in a small one-office company? The current manager of 10 months, their past manager of 6 years, or the CEO, who is also a personal friend of the employee?
well, I think we're hearing some suggestions right there in the wording choice. And you know what? It's like,
Personal friend, yeah.
it's right, right. That's the biggest one. And then you know what? You could have all three. You know what I mean? I mean, like you could have that. I mean,
Wouldn't
like,
it be great?
oh, I mean, you could get all three. So, I mean, you got, yes, this is where the nature of the celebration event, timing, what can be done, who's around, who's not. Do we work around the CEO's schedule because it's
Right.
the most meaningful? Or if he's not available, do we make sure that he still has an after the event opportunity
Yes,
of
absolutely.
connecting, or he sends a note beforehand, I'm not going to be able to meet with you or be there on the awards event because they got a formal date or one-time date.
Right.
But I want you to pop by on this date, this time to meet with me. I mean, there's before, during, after things. I think we need to orchestrate a lot more around that before, during, and after kind of concepts.
And that's such a great question because, you do have this dilemma. The current manager usually will get the packet or the
Yes.
email notice or what have you, but they may not be the best person. 10 months, I don't know what the relationship is, but they may not be the best person. This past manager, 6 years, that's 6 years, did they say? Yeah, 15 years. So that's a big chunk of their history.
Sure.
And then, of course, the CEO who's a personal friend. I agree, just all three.
Yeah.
All three do it. If
and
you can.
All three should have an opportunity to honor and celebrate that individual.
Absolutely.
One way or another.
Even that one in the middle who probably has no ties to them at all is like, look, I've worked with you for 6 years. I know you're a great person. I'm so glad you're still with us. We value you. What a great thing for someone you don't report to anymore.
That's right. That's right.
So
this is all the ways in which we can really extend the value of our career milestone awards. And is there any other questions before we conclude?
No, that was it for today. Those are some good ones.
Oh, no, totally. So for more information, if you want to find out more about real recognition and how to give it the right way wherever you work, this is how you can contact me, telephone number, email, Twitter if you want to follow there, and also visit us at redo.com, as well as the blog at authenticrecognition.com. And just want to make sure that you know that we appreciate you joining us for this webinar. We thank you for being here today, and we hope that you will join us on future webinars. Please feel free to contact us with ideas and suggestions that you might have for future webinars. We love doing these for you. We
do, and he's not lying. He loves to do this, and we love to hear from him. Thank you again, Roy.
Well, we appreciate you
spending so much time with us and helping us become better, I was going to say managers, but just better people. So,
I agree.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Until next time, my friend.
Take care, Tommy Lee. Bye-bye now.
Take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.